It was not an oblivion. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. My older brother, Bruno, looked at her, smiled with that toothpaste advertising smile, and said, "Wait here, we'll be right back." My mother believed. She always believed in him. She stood there, in the middle of the bright and noisy lobby, with her old suitcase at her feet and her hands folded over her worn purse, looking around without understanding, waiting, trusting. And I, holding my sister-in-law Fernanda's cold hand, turned my face back as they pulled me towards the boarding gate. I saw my mother's face getting smaller and smaller. I saw his eyes fill with tears. It was there, at that moment, that I realized something that no 10-year-old child should realize. Loneliness can arise within one's own family. And today, I am 22 years old. I live alone in a small apartment that I paid for with my own work. My mother lives with me, and my brother Bruno, well, his story ended in a way he never imagined. But let me tell you from the beginning. My mother was called Regina dos Santos. Simple name, difficult life, huge heart. She had 2 sons, Bruno, who was born when she was just 19, and me, 10 years later, when she was already exhausted from fighting alone. My father, I never met. It disappeared before I was born. Bruno had a different father, who also disappeared. So it was just her. It was always just her. Regina worked her entire life as a cleaner. I cleaned houses from Monday to Saturday, waking up at 5 in the morning, returning at 7 at night with my back hurting and my hands cracked from cleaning products. Never complained. He never cried in front of us. I remember waking up at dawn and seeing the kitchen light on. She was there, ironing Bruno's clothes so he could be presentable for college. Because yes, my brother went to college. Engineering, particular, very expensive. Do you know who paid? My mom. Every penny. Bruno never worked during college. He said he needed to focus on his studies. My mother agreed, proudly. He said he was going to win in life, and that one day it would all be worth it. Meanwhile, I wore a patched uniform and ate pasta and sausage 5 days a week. I'm not complaining. I was a child. I didn't understand these things, but I saw it. I saw my mother skip meals so Bruno could eat twice. I saw her refusing pain medication because it went away on its own, but running to buy the branded sneakers that Bruno needed so as not to embarrass himself at college. And the worst thing, I saw the way he treated her. Bruno was always handsome, tall, clear eyes, easy smile. The kind of guy people look at and think, this one's going to go far. He knew that, and he used it. With my mother, he was polite, but it was that cold, distant education, as if she were a maid. He didn't scream, he didn't swear. Worse, he ignored it. My mother would come home from work and ask how his day had been. Bruno barely took his eyes off his cell phone. He replied, "Are you hungry, son? I made that meat you like. Then I'll eat." And he would stay in his room, playing video games, or talking on the phone with his girlfriend. My mother stayed in the living room, alone, eating in silence. I, as a little girl, sat next to her and said, "It's delicious, Mom." She smiled, but it was a sad smile. I didn't really understand, but I felt it. She wanted it to be Bruno sitting there. When Bruno graduated, my mother threw a little party. Nothing big. Snacks, soda, simple cake. She invited her neighbors, her bosses, her family. Bruno appeared in a suit, took photos. He posted it on social media with the caption, "Mission accomplished, towards success." No photos with my mother, no mention of her. One of the neighbors, Donna Celia, took him aside and said, "What a blessed son your mother has, Bruno. She worked so hard for you." He gave that propaganda smile and replied, "Yes, I'm grateful, but now it's up to me. I will make the family proud." I remember seeing my mother listening from afar, the sparkle in her eyes, the hope. She really believed. 6 months later, Bruno found a job, good salary, big company. He rented an apartment and left home. My mother cried, not out of sadness, out of pride. She said her son was flying high and that every effort was worth it. He promised he would help her, that he would send money every month. That was going to take her away from that cleaning lady life. Lie. The months passed. Bruno disappeared. I only sent a message every now and then, always short, always vague. "Mom, work is busy. We'll talk later." My mother continued cleaning houses. He kept waking up at 5 in the morning. He continued to have cracked hands, and he continued defending him. When Donna Celia asked, "And Bruno, Regina, is it helping you?" My mother smiled. "Ah, he's focused on his career. But always call. You know how it is." Another lie. But this time, she was the one lying, to protect his image. And then Fernanda came, the girlfriend, blonde, thin, perfect teeth, manicured nails. He works in a fancy office, talks difficult, posts photos in an expensive restaurant. Bruno started bringing her to lunch at our house on Sundays. My mother was elated. I cleaned the entire house on Saturday, cooked all day, set the table as if it were Christmas. Fernanda arrived in high heels, greeted my mother with 2 air kisses, and sat on the edge of the chair, as if she were afraid to touch her. "What a delicious smell, Donna Regina," she said, with that tone that wasn't a compliment, it was a surprise. Bruno was on his cell phone. He ate quickly, didn't praise, didn't help clear the table. Fernanda poked the food with her fork and left half of it on the plate. I saw everything. I saw my mother running from the kitchen to the table, serving, smiling, trying to please, and she saw them both practically ignoring her. Once, Fernanda commented, "Oh, Bruno, we need to travel soon. I'm dying to get out of this heat." Bruno agreed. "True, I was thinking about Maceo, or Lawn." My mother, drying her hands on the tea towel, said softly, "That's cool, son. You deserve to rest." Fernanda looked at her, gave a little smile, and said, "Yeah, right, Donna Regina. Working all year round is tiring. We need these rewards." My mother had never taken a vacation in her life. And then the day at the airport arrived. Bruno called my mother on a Thursday morning. I was drinking coffee before going to school when I heard her answer, excitedly. "Hi, son." His voice came through the speakerphone. "Mom, Fernanda and I are going on a quick trip at the weekend. We rented a house in Campos de Jordão. I thought I'd take you along. And Alice, too." Silence. My mother stood frozen, with the phone in her hand, her eyes wide. "Really, Bruno? Serious. You deserve it, Mom. It'll be cool. We leave Saturday morning. Just bring a small suitcase." She hung up the phone and hugged me so hard she almost knocked me over. "Alice, my love, we're going to travel. Your brother will take us." I had never seen my mother so happy. The Saturday morning, 5:30, me and my mother ready, waiting at the door. She had packed her suitcase the night before, separated her prettiest clothes, which were still old, tied up her hair, put on perfume. I was radiant. Bruno and Fernanda arrived at 6 on the dot. He honked. He didn't even come down to help with the bags. We got into the car. Fernanda was in the front seat, playing on her cell phone. Bruno driving, headphones in his ears. Nobody said anything along the way. We arrived at the airport. Bruno parked and said, "Let's go. Check the bags." My mother smiled, picked up her suitcase, which was heavy, I saw the effort, and followed. I followed, hand in hand with Fernanda, who was pulling me too quickly, as if she were in a hurry. At the counter, Bruno checked in 3 bags, his, Fernanda's, and a third. It wasn't my mother's. I looked at her suitcase, still on the floor to the side. I looked at Bruno. He was smiling at the attendant. We went through security, my mother carrying her suitcase, which wasn't checked, me holding Fernanda's hand, Bruno in front. We arrived at the lobby. That huge place, full of people, noise, bright screens. And then Bruno stopped. He turned to my mother, smiled. "Wait here. We'll be right back." My mother blinked, confused. "What do you mean, son? We're just going to go and sort something out quickly. Keep an eye on our things. We're back." And before she could respond, he grabbed my hand and pulled me away. "Come on, Alice." I looked back. My mother was standing in the middle of the lobby, with the old suitcase at my feet, hands crossed over the bag, looking around. Without understanding, I saw his eyes fill with tears, and it was at that moment that I understood we weren't going back. Fernanda was pulling me by the hand, fast, too fast. I stumbled, trying to keep up. He turned his head back every 2 steps. My mother got smaller and smaller, further and further away. "Fernanda, aren't we going back?" I asked, my voice coming out thin, almost disappearing in the noise of the airport. She didn't respond. He just squeezed my hand tighter and picked up his pace. Bruno was at the front, with his backpack on his back, looking at his cell phone. He didn't even look back, not once. We passed through the gates, through the stores, by the waiting chairs, and then we arrived at the boarding gate. It had a light panel on top, large white letters, Flight 5847, destination, Maceo. My stomach tightened. I sat on a blue plastic chair, next to Fernanda. Bruno went to the counter, showed the documents, came back. "Everything is fine. Board in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I looked around. Other families waiting, children running, couples taking photos, and my mother, alone, back there, in the lobby. "Bruno," I called, my voice shaking. "Mom is waiting for us." He looked at me, smiled, that damn smile. "Relax, Alice. She's fine. But you said we were going to come back." I said I'd be right back. I didn't say when. Fernanda let out a short, muffled laugh. He covered his mouth with his hand, but I heard. It was at that moment that I truly understood. My mother never had a ticket. The flight lasted 2 hours. 2 hours sitting between Bruno and Fernanda, with my belt tightened, and my heart even tighter. I tried asking again. I tried to understand. "Bruno, is Mom going to catch another flight? Will she go later?" He didn't even take his eyes off the window. "Stop asking, Alice. You're too little to understand these things." "But..." "Stop." His tone immediately shut me up. It wasn't screaming. It was worse. It was that cold, cutting tone. The tone of someone who doesn't want to be disturbed. Fernanda offered me a box of juice and some snacks. I didn't want to. She shrugged and ate it herself. I looked out the window, the white clouds, the infinite blue sky. And I thought, is she still there? Does she understand? I didn't know it, but my mother had been standing in the lobby for 4 hours, waiting, believing. And we arrived in Maceo in the middle of the afternoon. Humid heat, strong sun, salty air. An app driver took us to the so-called rented house. It wasn't home. It was a 3-story mansion with a swimming pool, barbecue, and sea views. Fernanda let out a little scream when she entered. "Oh my God, Bruno! What a perfect place!" He threw his backpack on the couch, opened the fridge, which was already full of drinks, and grabbed a beer. "So it is. We deserve it." I stood at the door, with my little pink backpack on my back. "Where's Mom's room?" Silence. Bruno took a sip of the beer. Fernanda pretended to be using her cell phone. "Alice, your mother didn't come," he said, as if talking about the weather. "I know, but it comes later, right?" "No." "What do you mean, no?" He sighed. He placed the beer on the table. He crossed his arms. "Look, I'm going to explain to you why you won't stop annoying me. I brought you because Fernanda insisted. He said it would be cute to have a child along on the trip. But your mother? It can't be done, Alice. She doesn't fit in with this place." I felt my face heat up. "What are you talking about? That she would be out of place. It would be awkward. It would ruin our trip." "You lied to her." "I didn't lie. I just adjusted the plans. As if my mother were an old piece of furniture that didn't fit in the car." Fernanda got up, came to me, and put her hand on my shoulder. "Alice, dear, your brother did his best. Your mother wouldn't feel comfortable here. I would be shy, you know. It's better this way." I pushed her hand away. "She would love it. She never left São Paulo. She has never seen the sea." Bruno rolled his eyes. "Exactly. She would keep taking photos of everything. She would talk loudly. She would attract attention. Look, Alice, you will understand when you grow up. There are places that are not for everyone." I ran up to the room they gave me. I locked the door. I sat on the floor and cried. My mother had never seen the sea, and my brother thought she didn't deserve it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about everything, replaying the last few weeks, the last few months, and that's when the pieces started to fall into place. Nud memory 1, 3 weeks before I was playing in the living room when I heard Bruno talking on the phone in his room. The door was ajar. "No, Mother doesn't know anything, and you don't need to know. It's better this way." Pause. "Look, I know what I'm doing. Trust me." Pause. "No, she won't understand. I've already resolved everything." At the time, I thought he was talking about some surprise, a gift perhaps. Now I understood. He was hiding something. Just memory 2, 2 weeks before my mother received a letter. White envelope, red seal, her name written by hand. She opened it in the kitchen, read it in silence, turned pale. "What is it, Mom?" I asked. "Nothing, daughter. Just one bill." But she didn't put the letter in the bill drawer. She hid it inside the Bible. I saw Bruno pick up the Bible the next day when my mother went to work. He took out the letter, read it, smiled, and tore it up. He threw the pieces in the trash. Then memory 3. A week before Bruno returned home in the middle of the afternoon, a rare thing, and spent hours on the phone, speaking quietly. I heard fragments. "It will be in my name. She signs it without any problem. Trust me, love." I thought it was a conversation with Fernanda about marriage. Now I thought, sign what? Or memory. 3 days before my mother was having dinner, alone at the table, as always, Bruno arrived, kissed the top of her head, something he never did, and said, "Mom, I need you to sign a document for me." She looked up, surprised. "What document, son?" "Nothing else. Just a power of attorney, so I can sort out some health plan things for you. Make it easier, you know?" Okay." He placed a paper in front of her. She barely read it. Signed. He folded it, put it in his pocket, and left. My mother was smiling, happy because her son was taking care of her. As a little girl, I saw the scene and thought, that's cool. Bruno is helping. Dumb. I was so stupid. Lantai, done now, lying on that king-size bed in a mansion in Maceo, while listening to Bruno and Fernanda laughing loudly on the balcony, I put the pieces together. The letter, the power of attorney, the fake smile, the sudden trip, abandonment at the airport. He was planning something. I got up. I opened the bedroom door slowly. I went down the stairs in silence. The house was dark. The porch light illuminated the shadows. I heard voices. Bruno and Fernanda talking quietly. I approached. I hid behind the sofa, and I heard everything. "Are you sure she won't get suspicious?" Fernanda asked. Bruno laughed. "She? Suspicious?" "Fernanda, she signed the power of attorney without even reading it. She thinks I'm the perfect son. What if someone warns her? Who? The neighbors? The bosses? Nobody will get involved. And when she realizes, it will be done. And the house? It's practically in my name. All that remains is to sign the final deed. Next week I'll resolve it. She thinks she is helping her son buy a property. She has no idea that the property is hers. My blood ran cold. The house. My mother lived in a simple little house, inherited from my grandmother. It was old, small, but it was hers. It was the only asset she had, and Bruno was going to steal. Fernanda sighed, relieved, fortunately. Because I can't stand living in that cramped apartment anymore, Bruno. We need space, and that house with renovation will be beautiful. I know, my love, but calm down. Everything at the right time. I always said, my mother exists to serve me. She served her entire life. It paid for my college, created me. Now she's going to give me the house too. And do you know the best? She'll think it was her idea. They laughed together. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. I ran back to the room. I closed the door. I threw myself on the bed. The tears fell hot, fast, furious. My mother woke up at 5 a.m, who worked until his back hurt, who skipped meals for Bruno to eat, who spent his entire life believing he was good, and he was going to take everything from her. I took out my cell phone, an old, cheap device that barely caught the internet, but I had my mother's number saved. I dialed. He called. Nobody answered. I tried again, and again, and again, until on the 5th attempt she answered, the hoarse, tired voice. "Hello, Mom," I sobbed. "Mom, are you okay?" Silence on the other side. And then she said, in that small, broken voice, "I'm still at the airport, my daughter, waiting for you to come back." My heart broke in half. My mother came home alone on Sunday night, took a bus, 6 hours of travel, sitting in the back, with the old suitcase on her lap, because it didn't fit in the luggage rack. I only found out about it days later, when we returned from Maceió. But that night, while Bruno and Fernanda toasted with sparkling wine on the mansion's balcony, my mother crossed São Paulo at dawn, with her eyes swollen from crying. When she got home, the first thing she did was call Bruno. He didn't answer, called again, and again, and again, until, on the 10th try, he answered. I heard the conversation because he put it on speakerphone, laughing, thinking it was funny. "Hello, Mom," he said, with that falsely worried voice. "Bruno? Son." Her voice was choked. I don't understand. You disappeared. I was waiting. I thought something had happened." "Oh, Mom, I'm sorry," he said theatrically. "We had to get on board quickly. The flight was leaving. I was going to warn you, but I didn't have time." Lie. Fernanda covered her mouth to keep from laughing out loud. I was petrified on the couch, listening to everything. "But what about my ticket, son? I didn't get a ticket?" Mother," Bruno sighed, as if he were tired. "Look, I was going to tell you, but something unexpected happened. The house reservation only had 3 spaces. There was no room for anyone else." Silence on the other side. "But you said I was going with you. I wanted to take you, Mom. But then there was this problem. You know how it is, right? These things happen." I waited 4 hours, Bruno. "I know, Mom. It went badly. But hey, relax. When I get back, we can talk properly. Now I need to turn it off. We're in the middle of dinner here. Kiss," and hung up. Fernanda let out a laugh and was holding it. "Bruno, you're terrible. Your poor mother." He shrugged, refilling her glass again. "She'll get over it. She always overcomes." I felt hate, a hatred I had never felt before, a hatred that hurt in the chest, that burned the throat. I ran up to my room and called my mother. She answered on the first ring, as if he was waiting. "Hello? Alice?" "Mom," I cried. "Mom, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "It's okay, my daughter," she said, with that voice that tried to be strong but was broken. "It's not your fault. He lied, Mother. He lied to you." "I know, Alice," she sighed. "But it was just a misunderstanding. He said there was something unforeseen. There was no surprise, Mother. He planned this. He never wanted to take you." Silence. And then she said quietly, "Don't talk about your brother like that, Alice." My heart sank. Even after everything, even after being abandoned at an airport, she still defended him. "Mother, go to sleep, my daughter. Tomorrow we'll talk." And hung up. Fuina. The next 5 days in Maceió were the worst of my life. Bruno and Fernanda walked along the beach, took photos, posted them on social media with captions like, "Vida boa," and "We deserve it." I was locked in the room. I barely ate. He barely spoke. Fernanda tried to be nice to me. She offered me ice cream, invited me to the pool, gave me her cell phone so I could play. But I saw through her. I saw the falsehood, the forced smile, the impatience when I refused. Once, she whispered to Bruno, "This girl is very strange. It's ruining the vibe. Leave her alone. Children are like that. Raisin." But it didn't happen, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mother, alone, at the airport, waiting. And every time I opened my eyes, I saw my brother laughing. How did he do it? We returned to São Paulo on a Thursday. Bruno dropped me off at 3 p.m. He didn't even go in. He just honked. I got out of the car. He threw my backpack on the ground and drove away. My mother was in the kitchen, washing dishes. When he saw me, he dropped everything and hugged me. She hugged me so tight that I could smell the laundry soap and sweat mixing on her clothes. "My daughter," she whispered. "How I miss you." I buried my face in her shoulder and cried. "Mom, I need to tell you something." She pulled away, holding my face with both hands. "What happened, Alice?" "Bruno, he's planning something bad." She frowned. "What bad thing?" "He wants to take the house away from you. I heard him talking. He said you signed a power of attorney and he's going to—" "Alice," she interrupted me firmly. "Stop." "Mom, I'm serious. Your brother asked me for a power of attorney to resolve some health plan issues. That was it. He wasn't going to do anything bad." "But I heard, Mom. He said he was going to get the house, that you wouldn't even notice, that—" "Enough, Alice." She raised her voice, something she never did. "I don't want to hear you talking bad about your brother. Did you understand?" I was silent, shaking. She sighed, passed her hand over her face, went back to washing the dishes. "He's your brother. He took care of you this week. He took you to see the sea. You should be grateful." Grateful. I was 10 years old, and I already knew that gratitude wasn't what I felt. It was fear. On Friday, Bruno appeared again. He arrived in the morning, smiling, with a bag of bread in his hand. "Good morning, Mom." My mother lit up, like always. "Good morning, son. What a good surprise." He kissed her forehead, put the bread on the table, poured himself coffee, sat down. He ate. He talked about the weather, about traffic, about nonsense. And then, casually, as if he didn't want anything, he said, Mom, I need you to sign another little document for me." My mother stopped stirring the coffee. "Another document?" "Yeah. Remember I said I was buying a property? So I need you to be a guarantor. It's just a formality." "Guarantor? That. It's normal. Everyone asks. You just sign here." He took a folded paper out of his pocket. "I've already marked where to sign. Look." He pointed with the pen. 3 little red check marks marking the places. My mother took the paper, looked, didn't read it. "But I don't understand much about these things, son." "Mom, trust me. It's just a subscription. I would never do anything to harm you." She looked at him, for that pretty face, that peaceful smile, and he trusted. He took the pen. He brought the tip of the paper closer. "No!" I shouted, jumping out of my chair. Everyone looked at me. "Alice, what happened?" My mother asked, scared. "Don't sign it, Mom! Don't sign this!" Bruno narrowed his eyes. "Alice, go back to your room." "No! Mom, he's lying. He doesn't want to buy any property. He wants our house." My mother turned pale. "What are you talking about, Alice?" "I heard him talking about Massio. He said that and he was going to rob the lady's house, that you were going to sign without even realizing it." "What?" "He arrives." Bruno slammed his hand on the table. The noise was so loud that I jumped. He got up. It came towards me, high, intimidating. "Are you making up lies now, Alice?" "And that? I'm not making it up, I heard." "You didn't hear anything. You are a child, a lying child." "I'm not lying." "Yes. And do you know why? Because you were jealous. Jealous of me. Always has. He can't stand to see that I'm his mother's favorite son, so he keeps making up stories to harm me." My mother stood up, confused, torn. "Bruno, Alice, please." "Mom, I swear to you that I'm not making it up," I cried. "He's lying. He always lies." Bruno laughed, a cold laugh. "Do you see, Mother? Do you see the venom this girl is saying? And will you believe her? In a 10-year-old child? Or your son who always took care of you?" My mother looked at me, then for him, and I saw it in her face. She didn't know who to believe. "Alice," she said, her voice weak, "go to your room." "Mother, go." I ran up. I knocked on the door. I threw myself on the bed, and I heard from below Bruno saying, "Sorry, Mom. I think Alice is going through a phase. You know how it is, child." And my mother, quietly, "Yeah, that must be it." I heard the sound of pen on paper. She signed. And that night, I couldn't sleep again. I was thinking about what to do, how to prove it, how to save my mother from a son she loved more than life itself. And then, I had an idea. In the early hours of the morning, when everyone was asleep, I went downstairs in silence. I went to the room. I opened the drawer where my mother kept documents. And I looked. I looked for the power of attorney she had signed weeks ago. I didn't find it. I looked for the paper she had signed today. It wasn't there either. Bruno had taken everything. But then, at the bottom of the drawer, I found something. An envelope, old, yellowish, with my mother's name written in hand. I opened it. Inside was a certificate, the house certificate, in the name of my grandmother, who had died years ago, leaving everything to my mother. I read the entire document. I didn't understand half the words, but I understood one thing. The house legally belonged to my mother, and if Bruno was trying to steal, he would need more than a power of attorney. He would need my mother to sign the transfer, and she had already signed 2 papers. I got the certificate. I hid it under my mattress, and I swore to myself I would figure out the rest. On Saturday, Bruno returned. Again. This time, I brought Fernanda. My mother was excited, made lunch, tidied up the house. He placed the beautiful tablecloth on the table. During lunch, Bruno was especially affectionate. He praised the food. He told jokes. It made my mother laugh. And then, at dessert, he blurted out, "Mom, I have news." She looked up, curious. "What news, son?" "Fernanda and I are getting married." My mother's eyes widened. He put his hand to his chest. "Serious? Bruno, how wonderful." She got up, hugged him, hugged Fernanda, cried with happiness. I sat, watching. "Shut up." Bruno continued. "And you know what else? We were thinking. After the wedding, we wanted to live in a house. He knows, having our space, maybe have kids." My mother nodded, moved. "Of course, son. How beautiful. You deserve it." So, he exchanged a look with Fernanda. "We were thinking, would you be willing to live with us?" Silence. My mother blinked, confused. "Live with you?" "That, in a bigger place. We sell this house here, buy a bigger one, and everyone lives together. It'll be cool, Mom. You won't be alone. We take care of you." My mother smiled, a shaky, uncertain smile. "But this house is mine, son. It was your grandmother's. It has the memories." "I know, Mom. But think about it. You're getting old. This house is too big for you to take care of alone. And we were going to give you a beautiful, comfortable room," Fernanda added, in that honey voice. "And I was going to make a point of taking care of you, Donna Regina. You would be like a mother to me, too." My mother was torn. I saw it on her face. I don't know, son. You don't need to decide now, Mom." Bruno smiled. "But think carefully, okay? It's for everyone's good." He got up, kissed her forehead, and left with Fernanda. My mother sat at the table, looking at her empty plate. I approached. I held her hand. "Mom, don't do that." She looked at me, eyes full of doubt. "He just wants to take care of me, Alice. He wants the house, Mom. Just the house." She shook her head tiredly. "You're too young to understand these things." But I understood. I understood perfectly, and I knew time was running out. The following Monday, something changed. My mother woke up different. I can't explain exactly what, but there was something in her eyes, one of confidence, a shadow. She didn't go to work. He called his bosses and said he was sick, something she never did. She sat at the kitchen table all day, staring at the wall, thinking. I sat next to her, quiet, waiting. And then, without looking at me, she said, "Do you really think your brother would do that, Alice?" My heart raced. "I'm sure, Mom." She was silent for a long time. Then he got up, went to the document drawer, and started looking. He looked for the power of attorney, didn't find it. He looked for the paper he had signed on Friday. It wasn't there either. "He took everything," she whispered, more to herself than to me. "I found something, Mom," he said softly. She turned to me. I ran upstairs, grabbed the certificate from under the mattress, and brought it back. I put it in her hand. My mother read it, slowly, line by line. And when he finished, the tears started to fall. "My God," she whispered. "My God, Alice, what did I do?" She hugged me. He hugged me so tight it hurt, and cried on my shoulder like a child. "I was so stupid, so stupid." "You weren't stupid, Mom," the lady trusted, and he took advantage. She pulled away, wiped her tears with the back of her hand, took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, I saw anger on her face. Not sadness, not resignation, anger. "He's not taking my house, Alice," she said firmly. "He won't." On Tuesday morning, my mother knocked on Donna Celia's door. Donna Celia was the oldest neighbor in the neighborhood. He was about 60 years old, had gray hair always tied into a bun, thick prescription glasses, and a sharp tongue. But it was good, and he always liked my mother. When she opened the door and saw my mother's condition, swollen eyes, shaking hands, she didn't even ask. He just pulled her in. I stayed in the living room while they talked in the kitchen. I heard fragments. "He forged the papers, Celia. I signed without reading. I trusted. Regina, listen here. You need a lawyer. Now. I don't have money to... I know someone. He does volunteer work. Leave it to me." Donna Celia picked up the phone, called someone. He explained the situation. He wrote down an address. 2 hours later, we were in a small office in the city center. Dr. Marcello, the lawyer, about 40 years old, round glasses, wrinkled shirt, piles of files on the table, but kind eyes. My mother told everything. He showed the certificate. He explained about the power of attorney, about the papers he had signed without reading. Dr. Marcello listened in silence, taking notes, frowning. When she finished, he sighed. "Madam Regina, the situation is serious, but there is a solution." My mother held the edge of the table. "He has?" "He has. First, you will need to revoke this power of attorney immediately. I will prepare the document today. Second, let's go to the notary's office and ask for certified copies of all the house's documents. Third, if your child has already started any transfer process, we will stop it in court. But what if he already transferred? Then we file a nullity action, proof that there was fraud, defective consent, and he responds criminally." My mother's eyes widened. "Criminally? That. Ideological falsehood, fraud. Depending on what he did, he could face 1 to 5 years in prison." My mother turned pale. I saw the internal struggle on her face. Mother versus victim. Dr. Marcello continued more gently. "I know it's difficult, Donna Regina. He is your son, But he committed a crime against you, and if you don't act now, you will lose everything." She took a deep breath. He closed his eyes. He shook my hand, and he said in a firm voice, "What do I need to do?" That same afternoon, my mother signed the revocation of the power of attorney. Dr. Marcello sent an extrajudicial notification to Bruno by email, WhatsApp, and registered letter. The content was simple. As of this date, any and all powers of attorney previously granted are revoked. Any act performed after this revocation will be considered null and criminal. Bruno read it, and he freaked out. He called my mother screaming. I was next to her when the phone rang. She answered and put it on speakerphone. Dr. Marcello had instructed, "Record everything. Any threat serves as evidence." "What is this, Mom?" he shouted. "Bruno, did you go to a lawyer? Are you suing me?" "I just revoked the power of attorney, son." "Only? You're accusing me of stealing. You're accusing me of wanting to deceive you." "Because it's true," my mother said, and her voice didn't shake. Silence on the other side. And then Bruno changed his tone. It got lower, more dangerous. "Mom, you're making a mistake. A very big mistake. The mistake was trusting you. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know who's putting poison in your head." He paused. "It was that girl, right? It was Alice. I knew she was going to do it. I gave X, your sister, out of this." "She's a liar, Mom. Always has been. And now she is destroying our family. You destroyed our family, Bruno. When he abandoned me at the airport. When he forged documents. When he tried to rob my house. I didn't stole anything," he exploded. "I just wanted to take care of you. I wish you could live with us. But now I see that you don't deserve it." And hung up. My mother stared at the phone, hands shaking. But he didn't cry. He looked at me and said, "He's going to come here." "How do you know?" "Because I know my son. And when he doesn't get what he wants, he explodes." She was right. On Wednesday night, Bruno showed up. Without warning, no calling. He knocked on the door. Punched, actually. Bang, bang, bang. My mother opened it. I stood behind her, hidden but seeing everything. Bruno entered without asking for permission. Fernanda was with him, arms crossed, face closed. "We need to talk," he said. "There's nothing to talk about, Bruno." "Yes, he has, because you are being manipulated." My mother didn't respond. She just stood firm in front of him. Bruno began to walk from side to side, running his hand through his hair, agitated. "Mom, listen. I know Alice filled your head with nonsense, but she is a child. She doesn't understand how the world works. She understands more than you think. She doesn't understand anything," he exploded. "I spent my whole life taking care of this family. I studied. I graduated. I got a job. Everything to try to give us a better life. And now you accuse me of being a thief? You are a thief," my mother said, and her voice was ice. Bruno turned red. Fernanda placed her hand on his arm, trying to calm him down. "Bruno, love, let's go. It's not worth it." But he let go of her. "No, I'm not leaving. Not until she gives back what's mine." My mother frowned. "What is yours?" "The house. I worked for her. I deserved her." "You didn't work for anything." "I worked. I paid for your college. I raised you alone. And you never ever gave me a penny back. Because I was investing in the future. In our future." "No, you were investing in your future." And he was going to leave his mother on the street. Bruno took a step forward, intimidating. "You're not going to win this, Mom. You won't." My mother didn't back down. "I already won. The power of attorney has been revoked. Any document you have signed is invalid. And if you try anything, you'll go to jail." "Arrested?" He laughed in disbelief. "You were going to put your own son in jail? If necessary." Silence. Bruno looked at her as if he were seeing a stranger. And then, slowly, he smiled. That cold smile that I already knew. "It's okay, Mom. If that's how you want it, fine." He turned his back and headed towards the door. Fernanda followed him. But before leaving, he stopped. He turned his head. "Just one more thing. You signed those papers of your own free will. There are witnesses, and I have copies of everything. So, good luck proving I did something wrong." And left, slamming the door. My mother stood in the middle of the room, shaking. I ran and hugged her. "Mom, he's bluffing, isn't he?" She didn't respond. The next day, Dr. Marcello called. The tense voice. "Donna Regina, we have a problem." My mother pressed the phone. "What problem?" Bruno started a process of use-a-caption of the house. He claims that he has lived there for over 5 years, that he has always taken care of the property, that he pays the bills. But that's a lie. He left home a year ago, and he never paid anything. I know, but he has forged documents, receipts for electricity, water, IPTU, all in his name. My mother turned white. How did he do it? Probably bribery, or forged documents. The point is, he filed the lawsuit before you revoked the power of attorney, and the judge can consider it valid. So, am I going to lose the house? No, but it will be a battle, and it will take time. My mother hung up the phone and slumped in her chair. I saw for the first time defeat on her face. "Alice," she whispered. "What am I going to do?" I held her hand. "We're going to fight, Mom. until the end. But then, on Saturday, something unexpected happened. Donna Celia knocked on our door, agitated, panting. Regina, you need to see this. She went in, turned on the TV, and put it on a local news channel. And there it was. Engineer is accused of real estate fraud. Customers report scams and fake documents. Bruno's photo appeared on the screen. My mother put her hand over her mouth. The reporter continued. Bruno Alves dos Santos, 29 years old, is being investigated for scamming at least 7 clients. He promised renovations and regularization of properties, but embezzled the money and forged documents. 2 victims have already filed a complaint. The police are asking other victims to come forward. The screen showed one of the victims, one woman in her 50s, crying. He seemed so polite, so trustworthy. I gave him all my savings. And now I found out that he forged my signature on bank documents. My mother was petrified. Donna Celia held her shoulder. You weren't the only one, Regina. Dr. Marcelo called an hour later. Donna Regina, did you see the news? I saw. This changes everything. His process loses strength. The judge will investigate. And with this history, the chance of him being arrested increased a lot. Is he really going to be arrested? If all the victims sue? Yes, at least 3 years. My mother was silent. I knew what she was thinking. He's my son. But also, he's a criminal. Dr. Marcelo continued. Donna Regina, I need you to go to the police station. File a formal complaint. It's the only way to ensure he doesn't claim any more victims. She took a deep breath. It is fine. I go. On Monday, my mother, I and Dr. Marcelo went to the police station. She gave a statement. He told everything. He showed the documents. The delegate, a woman of about 40, listened attentively. And at the end he said, Lady Regina, you were brave. I know it's not easy to denounce a child, but know that you may have saved other families. When we left the police station, my mother cried, but it wasn't crying out of sadness. It was relief. 2 days later, Bruno was arrested. They tried to escape. He and Fernanda were about to board a flight to Paraguay when they were intercepted at the airport. Yes, at the airport. The same irony he used to humiliate my mother now trapped him. The news was in all the local newspapers. His photo in handcuffs. Fernanda crying on the side, being taken to give testimony as an accomplice. My mother saw the photo on her cell phone. He looked at it for a long time, and then he said quietly, I failed him, Alice. No, Mother, you didn't fail. You gave everything. He chose this path. She hugged me, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like she was going to be okay. But then the phone rang. It was an unknown number. My mother answered. On the other side, Bruno's voice. Tremendous, desperate. Mom, for God's sake, drop the complaint. I beg you. I will return everything. I'm going to disappear from your life, but drop the complaint. I can't stand staying here. And he started to cry. My mother was silent. I held her hand, firm. She looked at me, then to the phone, and he said, no, and hung up. In the days following Bruno's arrest, our house was eerily silent. It wasn't the heavy silence it had been before, that silence of fear, of waiting, of hidden pain. It was different. It was as if the house was breathing again. My mother didn't leave her room for 3 days. I didn't cry anymore. I just lay there, looking at the ceiling, processing, trying to understand how the son she raised, who she loved more than life itself, had become this. I brought food. He sat on the edge of the bed. He held her hand. And one of those days, she finally said, I failed, Alice. No, Mother, you didn't fail. Yes, I failed. I let him grow up thinking the world revolved around him. I gave everything, and I didn't teach gratitude. I didn't teach character. You taught me, Mother. He who chose not to learn. She looked at me. The eyes were sunken, tired, but with a new shine, a glow of understanding. You're so small, she whispered, and you already understand everything. I smiled. I learned from you. It was at that moment that she stood up, took a shower. He wore clean clothes, tied up her hair, and he said, let's finish this. The hearing was scheduled for Tuesday, at 2 p.m, at the Central Forum. Dr. Marcelo met us at the door. Wrinkled suit, old briefcase, but confident smile. Donna Regina, today is the day. Are you ready? My mother nodded. Yeah. We entered the hearing room. It was small, a little tight. There was a long table, wooden chairs, and a noisy ceiling fan. On the other side of the room, Bruno, handcuffed, lean, deep dark circles, wrinkled clothes, shaggy hair. He looked at my mother. She looked back, and he didn't deviate. Next to him, the defense lawyer, a man in an expensive suit, with few friends, leafing through papers in a hurry. Fernanda wasn't there. Dr. Marcelo had told us. She made a deal. He handed over Bruno in exchange for a reduced sentence. He confessed to everything. The false documents, the plan to take the house, the other victims. She saved her own skin and sank him. And Bruno? Bruno still thought he was going to get away with it. And the judge entered. A man of about 50, glasses, gray beard, serious expression, hit the hammer. Instruction hearing and trial of case number Defendant Bruno Alves dos Santos, crimes of embezzlement, ideological falsehood, and attempted apprehension, undue misappropriation. Let the parties identify each other. Dr. Marcelo stood up. Marcelo Freitas, lawyer for the victim. Regina dos Santos, the defense lawyer, stood up. Dr. Augusto Mendez, defense of the defendant. The judge looked at Bruno. Do you have anything to declare before we begin? Bruno cleared his throat. He looked at my mother, and he said, in that voice that tried to sound fragile, I just want to apologize for my mother. I was wrong, but I never wanted to hurt her. I just wanted to give us a better life. Lie. My mother didn't react. He just stared at him, impassive. The judge made a note. Registered. Let's go to the testimonials. Agfas said the first to testify was my mother. She climbed onto the witness stand, which was actually just a chair next to the judge's table, and placed her hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth? Interest. Dr. Marcelo began. Donna Regina, can you tell me, in your own words, what happened? My mother took a deep breath, and it started. He told me about the airport, about abandonment, about powers of attorney, about the papers he signed without reading, about the attempt to rob the house. Her voice didn't shake. He didn't cry. He just narrated, firm. When he finished, the defense lawyer stood up. Donna Regina, with all due respect, don't you think you might be exaggerating, misinterpreting your child's intentions? My mother looked at him. No. Are you sure? Because you see, the defendant claims it was all a misunderstanding, that he just wanted to help her. He didn't want to help me. He wanted to rob me. But you signed the documents of your own free will, didn't you? I signed it because I trusted him, because he was my son, and he abused that trust. The lawyer was going to continue, but the judge interrupted. Next witness. A Dr. Marcelo called Dona Celia. She went up, nervous but determined. Dona Celia, do you know the victim? I know. We have been neighbors for 20 years. And can you tell us what the relationship is like between Dona Regina and the defendant? Dona Celia looked at Bruno, then to my mother. She always did everything for him. All. He paid for college, gave food, clothes, love, and him? He always treated her like a servant. I never saw gratitude in that boy. I just saw interest. The defense lawyer tried to object, but Dona Celia wouldn't let him. And there's more. I saw him forcing her to sign papers, saying it was just a formality. I even warned her, Regina, don't sign anything without reading it. But she trusted him, and he took advantage. The judge wrote everything down. And then came the most important moment, the other victims. 3 women entered the room, one by one. The first was Dona Marisa, the lady who had appeared on TV. White hair, shaking hands, low voice. I hired the defendant to regularize the deed to my house. I paid 15,000 reais. He disappeared with the money and forged my signature on bank documents. I almost lost my house. The second was Claudia, a woman of about 40, her eyes red from crying. He offered to manage the renovation of my apartment. I gave 30,000 reais. He didn't do anything. And he even forged receipts saying he had paid the bricklayers. Today I'm in debt and he's here. The third was Elaine, younger, pregnant. He promised he would help my husband open a company. He asked for money for fees, registrations, 25,000 reais. It disappeared, blocked our number. We had to sell the car to pay off the debts it left behind. Each statement was a stab in Bruno's chest. I saw him shrinking in the chair, sweating, avoiding looking at women. And at the end, the judge asked, does the defendant have anything to say? The defense lawyer whispered something to Bruno. Bruno got up. He looked at the judge, and he tried again. I know I made mistakes, but I'm not a monster. I just wanted to build something, have a better life, and things got out of control. But I never wanted to hurt anyone, especially my mother. She is everything to me. My mother couldn't take it. He got up, and he said, loud and clear, for the whole room to hear, you abandoned me at an airport, Bruno. He left me alone, with an old suitcase, waiting for 4 hours, crying, without understanding. And do you know what you did? Went to the beach, with your girlfriend. And he laughed at me. He laughed at his mother. The room fell silent. Bruno turned pale. My mother continued, her voice firm, her eyes shining. You never loved me. You used me. And now you want me to feel sorry? May I withdraw the complaint? No, I won't, because other mothers deserve protection. Other families deserve justice. And you deserve to pay for what you did. She sat down, and the judge banged the gavel. There is nothing more to be said. I will analyze the evidence and give the sentence in 3 days. 3 days later, the sentence came out. Bruno Alves dos Santos was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months in prison. Furthermore, all fraudulent documents have been canceled. The house legally returned to my mother's name. Bruno was forced to return all the victims' money, based on the assets he still had. Fernanda, as an accomplice, served 2 years in a semi-open regime and was prohibited from holding any public or private position that involved legal documentation. When Dr. Marcelo called to share the news, my mother sat on the kitchen chair, put her face in her hands, and cried. But this time, It wasn't crying out of pain, it was relief. 2 months later, my mother stopped working as a cleaner, not because she got rich, but because finally, she prioritized her own health. She started sewing at home. I repaired clothes, made adjustments, embroidered. I earned less, but I didn't destroy my back anymore. Donna Celia helped spread the word. Soon, my mother had a daughter of clients, and me, I continued studying, with more desire than ever, because I had seen at 10 years old what a woman fighting alone was like, and I swore to myself I would never leave her alone again. Mata da today, 12 years later, I am 22 years old. I finished college. I work as a social worker, and my mother lives with me, in a small apartment that I paid for with my own salary, the house where I grew up. We sell. My mother didn't want to stay there anymore. He said he had too many memories, too many ghosts. With the money from the sale, she had back surgery, bought a new sofa, and he saved the rest for emergencies, because a mother is a mother, right, Bruno? He served half his sentence and got out on good behavior, but he never spoke to us again. It disappeared. I heard he went to another state. He started over with another name. Fernanda tried to get in touch once, apologizing. My mother didn't respond. And you know what? It is good too, because my mother learned in those terrible months a lesson she never forgot. Love is not synonymous with blind sacrifice. You can love someone and still protect yourself. You can be a mother and still say no. And loneliness that was born in an airport, in the middle of your own family, she died the day my mother decided to fight for herself. This morning I woke up and found my mother in the kitchen. She was making coffee, softly humming an old song. When he saw me, he smiled. "Good morning, my daughter." "Good morning, mother." I sat at the table. She served the coffee. He added bread, butter, jam. And while we ate in silence, but a good silence, of peace, of company, I looked at her, for new wrinkles around the eyes, for hair that was starting to whiten, for the hands still cracked but now resting. And I thought, I was 10 years old when I saw my mother being abandoned. Today I'm 22, and she'll never be alone again. Because loneliness can arise within the family itself, but true love, this rebuilds everything. Af thy sagan you. Have you ever been through something similar? Have you ever seen someone you love being manipulated, betrayed, humiliated, and didn't know how to help? Leave it here in the comments. I read them all, and I promise, you are not alone. If this story touched you in any way, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because there are more stories like this coming. Stories of pain, but also of courage, a huge kiss. And remember, you are stronger than you imagine.